I want to say thank you to everybody who's on time. We were private there for a second, but now we're public, so hopefully you guys can see it. Haulin Cash, how you doing today, my dude?
Rocking and rolling, man. What's happening?
Oh, that's awesome, my dude. Well, first off, I kind of want to just get going. We're just going to go through a couple questions, and then we'll take questions for people who are here in the chat. Haulin Cash, how did you ever even get started in the trucking business? What was like the process?
Man, so I got out of the service back in 2011, and there was, when I got out of military service, there was no training or transition point for what I was doing in the service to what I was doing in the civilian market. I got into just security stuff that I thought was going to be cool, and I was like, oh, that'll work. And then I saw a truck driving down the road. My father had been in trucking, and I don't know why the light took so long to turn on, but I looked at it and I said, you know what? I bet you that's a pretty cool thing. And I like the independence of it and the self-operating kind of mentality, just to be by myself and make my own decisions and dictate how I'm going to do things. And then I just fell into it. I pursued a school that was going to do teach you how to do CDL stuff, and went from there, and then started with like a starter company and just started moving into it.
Okay, how long were you? So you went through a school and everything. How long were you kind of just working for somebody else? Like, were you doing that for a long time, or were you always looking? I want to be my own owner operator. I want to have my own truck. I want to do my own thing.
Initially, I never had a desire to do the owner operator thing. It was never like something that crossed my mind. I was so wrapped up in the idea of just trying to learn my job and be the best at whatever that job was as it pertained to the company I was with. But I dabbled in flatbed, in the semi. That's where I started. And I was broken down at a truck repair facility in Iowa. And I was talking to an old timer who was running oversized combines, and I saw a cow truck go by, and I said, dude, that's what I really would like to do. And he just happened to know somebody. And he's like, let me place a phone call, and come to find out it's this owner of this cattle hauling operation where they've got, I think they had 11 or 12 trucks running. And he made a phone call, and the guy says, hey, dude, you're never going to get into this. You're never going to, like, you don't go from freight to cattle. And I said, okay, well, I'll wait. Because I was young, I was inexperienced. It cost a lot for insurance. So I was like, all right, man, I'll just wait. And he says, well, if you're willing to wait, it sounds like you've got a pretty decent head on your shoulders and you want to get into this. Let's bring you through it. So I had to go train at a hog barn. I had to learn how to move cattle. I had to learn how to move hogs. I had to learn how to move livestock around. And I had to go through all of the training for handling livestock, the health and wellness, cruelty to animals kind of deal. And then I had to learn how to truck. And if you haven't trucked livestock, you have not trucked, because it is from freight to livestock is a totally different game. And the guy that taught me, man, he put a bucket in the floor of this truck with water in it and just told me to bring all the towels I had. And we shifted, and I jerked the truck around, and the load's moving, and the cows are moving, and water splashing all over the truck. And I'm just like, I do not know how to drive, apparently. And so I learned through that. And the whole time, man, the whole time I was just so happy doing whatever that job was. I hadn't thought to even own anything. And it wasn't until I'd gone through cattle for a few years and then was transitioning to a cattle outfit more local to my area, that I started to, I started to realize, man, I've got a Rolodex of people that I know and I started booking myself. Even when I was in cattle, I was a company guy, but I was booking my own freight, and my owner at the company was trusting me to do that. And I started booking freight and cattle and loads, and started figuring out what the pattern was I needed to do for that particular loop. And then I moved into basically back into the security world for a while, because I burned my license up like a hotcake. I mean, I got enough violations to do everything wrong. I didn't learn what the law was until I got into a truck stop where I pulled into a scale, and the guy's jumping on my step and wants to see my book. And matter of fact, I got to Amarillo, Texas. This is the first time I ever cow hauled. And I got to Amarillo, Texas, and I told the guy, he put me on another load, and I said, sir, I don't have the hours. And he's like, what? And he's like cussing me out on the phone. He's screaming at me. You know, I'm telling him I don't have hours. I'm running the logbook. You know, I don't have any hours. I'm done, man. Like, I've done my logbook. I ran out of hours. And he's like, get back here right now. And I deadheaded states to get back. I mean, states. And he brought me down in the office, and he sat me down for 2.5, 3 hours and taught me how to work a book, and was like, you always have hours in our industry. Don't you ever say you don't have hours. And I'm like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then I realized I'm not a truck driver. You know, I still didn't know enough. And it's constantly been a learning process. But the owner operator side of things, that never crossed my mind up until, you know, a few years ago. And I started thinking about it, and I looked at Hotshot, and I realized that they were making the same money in a pickup as guys were in a big truck. And financially I could get into it easier. And I said, man, that's a darn good industry. Let me try to get into that.
For sure. And how did you stumble upon Hotshot? Was it YouTube? Was it somebody you met? Some connections you had?
No, man, I have a friend that does flatbed, and I was riding with him to go get a load of insulation. And I looked over and saw a pickup truck getting a load of insulation. And I was like, I'm going to go ask him. And so I walked over to ask him how much he was getting paid, and I knew how much my buddy was making. And I realized that truck was making the same money as the semi. And I was like, so you just did this with a 1-ton and a gooseneck trailer? And he's like, yep. He's like, I get the same loads these boys get, and they have no idea. Nobody ever asked me any questions. They just look at me like I'm crazy, and I'm over here making the same money. And I'm like, that's an option. And as my opinion on freight came to thinking that we're going to get more localized with freight, more on demand, more instant delivery, instant gratification of your loads. And if you order something, you want it right now. I honestly believe it's going to transition more and more toward Hotshot as time goes on.
For sure. And I was going to ask you, I love asking this question to a lot of people, you know. So now you're in the business right now. You told me, was it 3 trucks you said you had? That you have currently right now?
Well, yeah. So we've got 4 or 5 owner ops, and then we've got 1 company guy coming in.
Okay, 4 or 5 owner ops, 1 company guy. So are you dispatching everybody, or do you have a dispatcher on with you, or are you kind of doing all that?
Yeah. I got a whole dispatch team.
A whole team?
Along with myself. I mean, I jump in on it to dispatch if we've got 2 trucks that go empty at the same time and they're not preloaded, or pre-booked. Then yeah, I'll jump in and start to knock out whatever we need to get trucks moving and get people grabbing some freight and moving.
For sure, my guy. I always ask this question, and I always get really good answers. What was probably on top of your head, what's the worst experience you've ever had with a broker that you remember that you're like, oh my gosh, this is terrible?
As far as the broker being terrible, I've ran into some. One being most recent probably was the worst one, that the broker was actually the problem. I had a load for a driver that we had. It was an over height load. We were going to be I think we're going to be 14.3. And so I had booked permits for 14.5. To give us that extra couple inches of clearance. I made sure that we knew what the height and the dimensions were with the straps and how long we needed the straps to be. And it was going to be a daunting load. There's no doubt about it. And we got there, and, unfortunately the driver didn't tape the load itself. And so he ends up trying to take this load that, we got outside the gate with it. And I said, send me some photos. Let me see how it's done. And when I saw the photos, I'm like, no. Not going to work. I said, did you see those 4-inch cross members underneath this crate? And he's like, well, yeah. And I said, well, that's another 8 inches of space that we don't have permits for. We can't move with this thing. It's too much risk. And he couldn't get back into the port because the broker was registering his trailer license plate, but not his truck license plate, which is what they actually go to verify you by. And so for a day and a half, she kept telling me, sir, you don't know what you're doing. We do this all the time, blah, 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 blah. And I finally said, look, just send me a screenshot of your computer screen and exactly the plate that you're showing on your end. And as soon as she sent it to me, I was like, yeah, it's the trailer that you keep registering, not the truck, dude. Like, this guy's been sitting out here for a day waiting on you, and you're telling me I'm wrong. And then we go to look at the plate, and the plate's wrong. So that was a no money winning situation, total waste of time, like absolute disaster of a load. And, it's between that or getting pre-booked on something or booked on something and then getting there. And then it's like, oh, we don't do a truck order not used. Yeah. Like, well, he's on scene. Yeah, but we don't care. Like, okay.
Now,
I did that when we were.
What's your plan of attack in those situations? I mean, obviously we try to recover as much profit as possible, but what would be your go-to? Let's say I pick up a load and it takes me a day just to get that load back off my truck and kind of regroup myself. I don't want to throw the week away. I still got to make some money. Insurance is coming up. It's expensive. What would be your plan of action in that situation?
As far as truck order not used, or as far as the load that we took that we couldn't take?
Well, kind of both. Like, let's say you couldn't take the load, right? It takes you a day to get everything off. Then you're trying to get a truck order not used, but you're just really trying to get out of that situation and get something else,
Man, at what I'm doing right then and there is the idea that, we've lost our lunch. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We've lost the lunch. So, it is what it is at this point. It's a waste of time to keep trying to fight the battle right now. Right now, we need to fight what's in front of us, which is getting the dang thing off, getting away from the load. I'm working furiously to find another thing to rebound as fast as we can, because if we can reload same day and get something else in the books and at least on the page to get ready to process, go for it. Like, we've got to work to the future. We can't work to the past. And then when we have time to circle back, when everybody's kind of gotten the waves have settled a little bit, then we'll come back and we'll start talking about, the idea of maybe even recouping anything. But honestly, man, it's a lost cause. A loss of a few thousand, $1,000, like that load was actually really good, paid really, really well. And it's terrible. But if you focus all your energy there, you don't have enough time to transition to the board and getting on something else, or calling people, and circling something else, and, to get the actual truck moving on freight you can actually move and get going with. So I try to spend as little time as possible just spinning tires. I want to grab traction and move. Just get it off, get it out of the way. We'll come back when we come back. As far as truck order not used is concerned, a few $100s is a waste of my time. But, if we're reasonable, we don't get emotional with it. We don't get any attitudes with the brokers. It's very professional. Hey, truck's on scene. You double brokered it or you double booked it. That sucks. We'll take our truck order not used, And then when they ask me, hey, what do you want for a truck order not used? I mean, I could sit there and gouge them. I tell them whatever's fair. You know what's fair. I mean, they pay them all the time.
Yeah.
And so if it's something is better than nothing.
No, for sure.
At that point.
100%. And guys, if you're in the live stream right now, welcome to the live stream. I didn't have a chance, but if you guys could post a link to this live stream on the Facebook groups you guys are a part of, all of your Facebook, kind of just get as many people in here, because we're going to be talking about a lot of awesome stuff here when it comes to Hotshot. I usually post it myself, but I forgot to this time. So if you guys could do that for me, it'd be super awesome. But real quick, I want to talk about kind of how you need to be with the brokers. That's something I think is really important. I think that's something that we drop the ball on a lot of times, and I think it's something that causes us to have a bad name as hotshotters. We talked on the phone a little bit. I'm just ending my first 90 days, and I have to say the biggest misconception I ever had was everybody telling me the first 90 days are hell, because after the first 30 days, I probably never had somebody like say no to me. Like, I mean, it might, like, super, super rare. The first 30 days, yeah, because, I mean, obviously my tone of voice was a little like, hey, I really need this load. Can you give it to me, please? Like, I'll let you have $50 more. Like, I don't give a crap. Just put it on my truck. But after that first 30 days, I'm like, no, bro. Like, we're the best, And I think if we have that mindset, like, I am the best carrier out there for this load, right?
Yeah.
Then, like, that energy just feeds off to these brokers, right? Because if I call a broker, I say, hey, I'm looking at your Iowa to whatever, Minnesota. And they're like, awesome. They tell me the dimensions and everything. And then I'm like, okay, awesome. And I made a whole video on different questions you need to ask because we run the non-CDL route, right? So weight's a big issue, If I'm picking up something and they say it's 9,000 pounds and it's 9,800 pounds, there's a chance that I am overweight, So I always tell them, I'm like, how positive are you on the weight? And they're like, well, they just told us. I was like, can I stay on the phone with you? Is there any way you could just call the customer real quick and like just see if they know how much the weight is, or if it's a certain item, you can Google it, right? But if I know I want the load and they say, I'll be like, yes, we can definitely move that for you. And they're like, what's your MC number? I give them my MC number, right? And that's kind of that moment where it's like, this is it, If they're going to say anything, they say it now, right? And a lot of times they're going to ask me, how old's your company? I'll be like, well, we're just finishing our 90 days, or I'll say like, we just started up, but our driver has experience. We have all new equipment, and we're super serious about what we do. And once I say that, they're like, okay, I'll send you a carrier packet. Like I never run into a problem. And I see people on the Facebook groups all the time saying, I just can't find any loads. Like this is happening. And I'm like, who's your dispatcher? Like, what are they saying that's causing these brokers not to want to use you? Like, I don't know if you've had, because I know that you got out of your first 90 days basically, being your owner op, now you got your own authority and everything. How was it for you, and what did you do to kind of combat that stereotype of the first 90 days?
Really, I mean, we didn't have, just like you said, we didn't have too much trouble. But again, a lot of it's the confidence, right? So if you get on the phone with somebody and they ask me, hey, how old are you? Hey, we're 90 days, or hey, we're sub 90 days. I tell them just as confidently I'm sub 90 days as yes, I want the load. Because, and I've had people that told me, well, we can't use anybody if they were even, if you're 88 days, we can't use you. And I tell them straight out, that's a ridiculous rule. You guys realize that, right? You need your freight moved. Here I am to move it. And you're giving me grief over 88 days as opposed to 90. I mean, okay. I mean, do what you want. I hang up and I move to the next because, at the end of the day, somebody's going to tell you no. That's 100% going to happen. In the first 90 days, somebody will tell you no. How quick you take that rejection and just move on is the real big separation between the guys that are going to make it and the guys that won't make it. The guys that get strung out and worried and wrapped around the axles about getting told no, if you perceive the conversations going negatively before you've even had a chance to make it positive, it's going to go negative. If I get on the phone and I'm going to get that load, boy, I'm going to get that load. There's no question. I'm calling. I'm going to be the one. I'm going to make sure I'm the one. I don't, no's not an answer when I call. Man. I call and I want, I need the load. No's not the answer. Yes is the answer. And however we need to make it work, we'll make it work. If somebody says, well, typically after they ask for your MC number, they'll say, do you know if you're set up with us or not? No, sir, I know that we're not set up with you, but I'm standing by my computer right now. I can have the carrier packet banged out for you in 10 minutes. I'm not here to waste your time. I'm here to make some money. You're here to make some money. Let's get the freight moved. How can I facilitate?
No, I tell, I talk to brokers a lot, and because obviously the way we have our business set up, and I want to go on this topic a little bit too, is so it's me and my friend Pierce. He's the co-owner. We do it together, right? I don't drive the truck. I don't plan on driving the truck. Originally, we hired a friend to drive the truck that we wanted to bring on the business, but in our minds, we thought we can live off the profit, that was our minds first off. We're like, we're gonna, hey, Danny, you don't gotta laugh at it, okay? I already know I was in the wrong, okay, bro? I'm already on it. But our minds was like, we're gonna clear like $5,000 a month off one truck, and we're gonna split it, and that's enough. We don't have many bills. Like, I'm young, whatever, That was my job. That was my thought process, right? And then, obviously we started, and we didn't gross as much as we thought we would, obviously. And we're like, we're just breaking even. And then, I was like, I got to start doing a lot more work. It's not just about dispatching one truck, right? So that's when my mind started going, how can I start making money moves, right? How can I get my
Right.
insurance cheaper? How can I get a better rate with my factoring company? How can I get a better fuel card? You know, and I feel like a lot of people get stagnant in those little things, and it's like, that's really what's going to make or break your company at the end of the day. And I realized this, like, me, we have a good setup, right? Because I'm dispatching the truck and I'm always at my desk, I'm always in front of the computer. And so if I really want to load, that broker's my number one priority. That packet's my number one priority. That certificate holder's my number one priority. So I can bust it out, 5-10 minutes. Obviously, I'm with Progressive right now, and I have to like call them every time I want a COI, and I'm usually on hold for 20 minutes, which is the worst thing in the world, guys. And I'm so glad that I'm not having to do that anymore. But I think we need to understand, guys, that we need to have a good broker carrier relationship, or and we need to realize that their time is valuable and all our time is valuable. Because I feel like the stigma that like these brokers are stealing all our money, they're taking so much off the top, and it's like maybe some are, but a lot of them are just straight up trying to make their $100 and get that freight moved in the fastest time possible.
Well, and a lot of them have customers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so a customer may call them to have the load move, but the customer is out of touch with reality, right?
Yeah.
The customer got the load moved for $12 one time and now presumes that every time it ever gets moved, $12. They think that it's just, that's what it is. That's what the freight moves for. That's what it moves for all year long, regardless of fuel, regardless of anything. It's just $12. It's what I'm going to pay. I'm not paying a dime more. But they stick the broker with it, and then the broker's in the middle trying to facilitate them and serve them as the middleman, knowing, God dang, man, like how am I going to move this for $12?
Yeah.
Like, and they're going to put it out there, and you'll always know which brokers these are, because when you call them and they talk about the money, I'm like, oh yeah, we can do $1,000 on it. And at the end of it, a big sigh at the end of it, like where they're gritting their teeth and they're frustrated, that's that broker.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you the guy that calls you and he's, when you're talking to him and he's like, oh man, yeah, I got to put 50 of my own dollars in this thing. That's the guy that's taking you to the cleaners.
Yeah.
The guy that just gives you the at the end of his conversation, that's the guy who literally got stuck with that bad boy and he don't know what to do with trying to move it. But if you do a good job for brokers, the idea as a carrier, back to your point, that relationship will get you one phone call to the guy's cell phone and he'll tell you what's going on before it ever hits the board, mm-hmm. or what will come up, because he's in talks with his customer long before it ever hits a board. And he can tell you, hey, man, next week we're going to have the same thing going. It's a for sure locked in gig. Or, hey, man, can I get you another load? Can I get you back to get another one? So if you do a good job and good work with people, man, you get a small Rolodex on your hand that you can just dial the numbers, and you don't have to be sitting there hunting and pecking in the board all the time. Sure. And really do you some justice in the long run, especially as time goes on. One load, they get a good idea who you are. 2, 3, 4, 5 loads, they get really kind of comfortable with who you are and how you handle your business, and they expect you to be on time. And then the years just roll on, and as years come on, in cattle, I had like 5 people I called every week. Same guy to get out and to go north, same guy to bring me east, same guy brought me south, and he would either bring me down to San Angelo or he's going to bring me down into Houston area. One of those two. He's going to have a load going, 1 or 2. And if I ever got to San Angelo, I had a guy there that was going to bring me back over to Houston. So it's, same Rolodex of people, but I worked with them year after year, and they just knew how I did things, and they just expected me. Hey, see you on Thursday. Yes, sir. You're going to see me on Thursday. That can benefit you in the long run and stabilize your cash flow.
For sure, 100%. I think, like Hotshot, especially with load board finding, right? Because we're a newer company, obviously. And we're only operating one truck, right? And later I want to get into like how we can grow our businesses and how everybody should have that perspective. But I have direct shippers hit me up a lot, but I'm usually nowhere close to that load. They're like, where are you at? And I'm like, Dude, I'm in Southern Utah. Like, you need something in Colorado. I was in Northern Colorado one time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't plan on going back there because it sucks. You know, like, so I love the fact that you love me and you want to use me, but I'm not gonna go over there.
I
You know, there's no way in heck I'm getting over there. But I kind of go off of this a little bit more. A couple things I really liked is I did summer sales, which is basically I went door to door selling pest control, right? So I mean, I have extensive experience in that first interaction. Seeing somebody who doesn't know who
right,
you are, you don't know who they are, and you need to make them love you or hate you in the next 10 seconds, right? And I feel like it happens a
right,
lot with the brokers too. And I always get different reactions, because I hate with like these bigger companies, like TQL does this, right? They won't post the rate and they'll say, "What can you do it for?" And I think that is the most dangerous thing I have ever heard in my life. Because if you get some guy who's like nervous and doesn't really know what to say, like he can get caught up with these fast talking brokers and have a load book before he even knows that he dialed the number. Like it's happened to me a couple times where I get a fast talking broker and I forget to even ask for more money, or I don't even think the rate's good enough. But they're like, "Let me get your carrier packet. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that." Like, boom, sign up. It's yours. Be there in an hour. And it's like, bro, chill out. You know what I'm saying? But with TQL, it's
well,
like a lot of times,
it, it's like that what's that old saying? The first one to talk in a negotiation loses.
yeah,
The first one that talks after silence loses. And when they tell you, "Hey, what can you do that for?" They've put the conversation to you now and given the silence.
mm-hmm.
So now you are the precipice. If you say $200, that 200 it is, or if you say 2,000, I can't do 2,000. So you can get really screwed if you go off and what happens is the guy's thinking in his head, what would somebody else do this for?
Yeah,
Okay, what's $2 a mile? Okay, can I eat a little bit less? I want to make sure that whatever number I give is fair, but I also want to make sure it's competitive. And like they get caught right then. It's a mousetrap. You've just been set,
mm-hmm.
and you're going to step every time with the answer. I just step with an answer that makes you uncomfortable. If normal is 2,000, I'm going to try 2,800.
Yeah,
And then you bring me back down to reality. Come bring me out of outer space. But I don't want to sit there and be mud puddle with you and be like, well, $2
mm-hmm.
and you just take it. No, it won't work. So yeah, you can get screwed real quick. They're fast, dude.
A lot of them are
I
real
just
good.
call. I don't try to. I call my people at TQL. I won't call just any old guy. I just say, "Hey man, I see you guys have this posted," and I let him patch me over. I don't want to be. I don't want to be talking to just any old buddy because I know somebody will try to hammer me.
Yeah, for sure. I want to move on after this, but I remember like this is what happened with TQL and me. I mean, it wasn't a bad load. Obviously, we had one of our highest grossing weeks with this load, right? And I remember calling this guy, and he was a really nice guy from TQL. It was a load going from Arkansas all the way to California. My guy needed a reset in Las Vegas, so we were gonna go Las Vegas to there. Sorry, I'm getting a phone call here. So we were gonna go, good. And he calls me as a trash compactor. I've obviously never seen the trash compactor. I didn't really know what it looked like, right? And he's like, "Well, what do you think you can do it for?" And I'm like, "New, right?" So I'm like, and it's a long haul. It's 1,700 miles. Never even done a 1,700 mile load. I'm like, "Bro, I could probably do it for like $1.50 a mile." I didn't want to do the math, right? I didn't do the math in my head. And then he hit me with $2,300. I hit him back with $2,650. He's like, "Let me check." And then we booked the load for $2,650 on like 1,700 miles.
Oh.
And I bet these guys probably had it for like $3,500. And I'm telling you, Danny,
Easy.
it was the worst aerodynamics I've ever hauled in my life. Like literally a trash compactor was like way worse than a like 40-foot container, and we had to fill up every 2 hours, okay? Like the gross for the week was okay. Like I think we grossed like $5,000. But I mean, obviously we ate most of it. But like after that experience, I'm like, I cannot let this happen again, So, I mean, they go quick, man. It's
definitely not.
It's just not even a game. But yeah, so for you, so let's say for example, when you first got into Hotshot, what was your biggest shortcoming with Hotshot? What was one thing that you really struggled with, if anything?
You know, when I first started, I leased on, um, and I leased on with the idea that I wasn't as sure of myself as I needed to be, um, and I thought that was going to be the right move. And I didn't credential check these people nearly like I would now. Um, and I was running, and just when you start with a bad outfit, dude, you get crippled quick. I was paying 25% plus insurance, and then getting an average of like $3,000 or $3,300 a week in gross revenue. Uh, and they were sitting there acting as if that was a normal thing. And when I told him I could book myself for 6, he told me the market didn't even support that. And I went, yeah, you have been out of touch. And I missed all the red flags. Guys were in business for 15 years, not one contract.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not one direct customer. And you've been in business for 15 years. I missed all the signs, all the Google reviews, all the things from actual drivers. I didn't ask any of the right questions. And what happened is I was losing money, leaking money like a sieve, uh, working with them. Then I started booking myself, and I was doing good. And then I was still paying 20% plus their insurance. I was booking myself at that rate. So I was getting killed on that. And then when I had mechanical issues with the truck, dude, that was the last thing in the world I thought was going to happen to a truck in the first 6 months. And I had to come home and was like, look, I got to reevaluate if this is financially going to work for me. And do I want it bad enough to, go through this with this truck and try to make this thing happen?
Mm-hmm.
And that was, man, it was, and that was one thing I didn't expect, was a brand new truck causing me mechanical issues inside of 6 months and inside of 50,000 miles. I never would have thought of it. And so when it happened, I'm like, God, dude, like, what's the next 50,000 miles going to bring? What's the next 50,000 miles going to bring after that? And how much money am I going to spend here trying to stay in business to run this little truck around? And, those were really all the things that I didn't see coming. Making money, booking loads, easy. But I had with that. And that was the downfall for me, was the under preparation when it came to the maintenance side. I think the biggest downfall for a lot of people, if not all of them, is when you get in, Hotshot's financially easier to get into, but logistically,
It's exactly
murder.
the same thing.
It's murder, dude. I mean, you can go in and, oh man, it's easy. You're an owner operator for $60,000. Boom. In the game you are. Dude, you know how fast and how hard logistically it is to book these things, especially to book them for a profit? I mean, I know experienced dispatchers that dispatch all other kinds of vehicles and got to Hotshot and got kicked in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And went, what the heck am I doing? And they've been booking freight for a long time. And it's deceiving. And it's deceiving because on YouTube, it's made to look easy.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody sees every Cadillac, and, like, oh, man, we're out making $250 today and we didn't do nothing. Yeah, that's a lie. That's a lie. Tell me how you got to that point. That's the deception of everybody.
No, I think that's a really awesome point. And one thing I've seen a lot is, like, it's definitely a mindset game, and you have to grind it out, guys. And I feel like I have people hit me up all the time, and they're like, I want to save money by not hiring a dispatcher. I want to save money by booking my own loads. I want to save money doing this. I want to save money doing that. And I was like, guys, you need to listen that you're gonna get kicked in the face repeatedly when you first start. You know, like it's not a problem to hire a factoring company just so you don't have to waste all your time trying to get paid from these companies at the very beginning,
Right.
right? It's not a problem to hire a dispatcher at a good rate that knows what they're doing, right? Obviously, if they're not performing, you get a different dispatcher, but don't think that you have to do everything on your own, because you're really really going to struggle. And one thing I like about our company is, at the end of the day, I'm at the desk, right? So if my driver like forgets to call, the broker, or forgets to do XYZ or call the shipper, I'm here. I can just cover every little problem we have right here. And I see these guys who want to be these owner operators and want to do everything themselves, and I'm like, I don't think you guys really realize how much logistically it is, how much paperwork you got to fill out, how much time you're going to spend on the phones, how many phone calls you're going to get. And I'd hate to be driving the truck answering my phone every 2 seconds, from people like trying to sell or trying to give me loads, from people I've taken loads from people who need their paperwork, from all that stuff. And it's just like, if I could give one tip of advice, would be to find somebody to help you. Find somebody you trust that you want to bring in on this business, and if they're good logistically, like that's what you need, right? Like I think the two most important people in Hotshot are the driver and the dispatcher. Okay, but you need to make sure that your dispatcher knows how to do the paperwork and is logistically sound, because that's what their job should be. Like if they're charging you 8%, they should fill out every single piece of paperwork, and they should book every single load, and you should be just racking in the dollars from your factoring company. Like that's how I think it is, and that's what I provide as a dispatcher. And I just think people just kind of have that misconception that it's like I can do everything myself.
In YouTube, right, when you see the videos, right, what people don't understand is I'm like this constantly. When I'm by myself, I'm like, da 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 da. Oh, hold on just a minute. Slip that up, and I'm doing this. Yes, sir. What were you saying? Yep. And I slip it up again. Then I'm back down to doing this. Then back up. And by the time you get through all of that, I've got a carrier packet I got to fill out, so I can't roll out of the truck stop till it's done. I got to turn around and call my customer. I got to turn around and call and update the receiver. I got to do the math to figure out if the deadhead was what I thought it was. How much money did I actually make? And that's not even talking about QuickBooks, compliance, your paperwork, your taxes, your filings. So then I'm on my 34-hour, and I'm sitting there like, oh my God, what did I spend 2 weeks ago at Love's? Was this fuel? Was this gas? Was this food? Was this what is this? And then trying to break, and then God forbid you get to tax season like these guys are going to be in now, you're still going to have to make money. And guess what? You got to file all that crap with your tax guy, and they're going to have questions. And then you're trying to remember what you did in June of this year. And
while you're on the road, you're driving the truck with the earpiece in, trying to talk to your tax guy of what you did 6 months ago. And it's just
number one most important person you could possibly hire that'll be the best money you've ever spent, besides the legal people, is going to be your dispatch. Your dispatch will make, and people don't understand that. And that's what's crazy. When people see truck drivers in big trucking companies, they pay these guys $15 an hour. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so you have this dispatcher for $15 an hour, but they don't realize that the dispatcher is just an information forwarder from the load planner, who you never get to talk to, who's actually doing the load and the work.
Yeah.
The dispatcher regurgitating information to you. But in Hotshot, the dispatcher is that load planner and the person regurgitating everything to you. They're both of them. So if your dispatcher doesn't bring in money, operations are dead instantly. And same thing if you have a driver that's bad. Go out and cause a wreck tomorrow, you're out of business. Simple as that.
For sure.
It's imperative you have help. You need to have somebody, in the kitchen, at least tracking something.
No, for sure.
Yeah, it's terrible.
No, I think I just wish some people could see the screen of my MacBook looks like on a regular day. Just see the 50 carrier packets and the 45 rate cons and XYZ. And you guys don't understand is some of these brokers are literally crazy, and they're going to call you every 15 minutes, and they're going to want to know exactly where you're at, how many hours are on your ELD, how's it strapped down, let me get a couple pictures. Oh wait, I don't like that strap that's up there, can you move it down a little bit? Is that a 4-inch or a 2-inch? And if my driver had to receive all these phone calls, that's crazy, So I'm the one in the middle, man, and I'm I'll call my driver and be like, hey, this dispatcher is kind of on me hardcore. I trust you. I mean, this broker's kind of on me hardcore. He's like, I trust you 100%. Let's just make sure we get this load where it needs to be. but I'm still answering the broker's phone call every hour, you know? And that's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff people don't see and they don't think about, you know? And so super important to have somebody
See,
there
now,
with you.
I have a real brazen attitude with them.
Mm-hmm.
I had one call me at 9 o'clock at night when I'm having dinner with my family. How fast do you think you're getting told to go pound sand? Quick. I mean, dude, I don't care if you're a broker or not. You're not calling me at 9 o'clock at night, dude. I'll tell you to go pound sand fast, in a hurry. Same thing when they called me all the time when I was driving a truck. They call me, hey man, just want to see where you're at. Man, I'm on the road. I'll call you when I get there. Thank you. Click. I got no time for it. I want to be pleasant, but pleasantries end after you became annoying. Pleasantries end after I've told you 12 times I'm almost there. I'm X amount of hours out. I'm done talking. I've just
Yeah.
told you. And what happens is if you give them that time of day, they'll take it. And they won't, especially new brokers that they're moving their first load and they're unsure and they're doing is sitting at the computer screen and the hours are ticking, but to them it's hours and it's only been 10 minutes.
For sure.
But they don't know what load is, so they're just waiting on a phone call and that's the only load they have and the phone isn't ringing yet, so they're just like, let me call and find out. And man, dude, once you tell them to pound sand one time politely, they stop calling. They realize, okay, he's got it. I need to go find something to do, man. Hey, go down there and sort mail or something. I don't care. Get away from me. Try and truck.
For sure. I think the biggest problem I've had are women brokers. No offense if there's any ladies in the chat, but if I book a load with a woman, like, she is on me. Like, I've booked some great loads with some guys that are just like, yeah, man, get it there when you can, bro. And it's like, I send them pictures when I'm loaded anyways, I keep them updated, just normally. But these women, they just want so much more. I've had women tell me to restrap my loads. I've had women tell me to send me the hours on my ELD. Like, I'm just like, everyone just needs to calm down. I told you when we're going to get there. And unless my truck just blows up out of nowhere, and unless, my dude gets blown off the road, we are getting there. Like, that's just the end of the story. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So it's just a huge problem there. But, for you, Haulin Cash, let's kind of put an example here. Let's say, you're just starting out in Hotshot, right? You've watched tons of YouTube videos, you've kind of inflated your ideas about growth. And so you're ready just to, throw everything into Hotshot. 1 week passes by and it's nothing like you thought it was going to be. What would you do in that situation? Because I feel like a lot of people get into that situation. I know we were in that situation for a couple weeks before we kind of got our heads on straight. But what would be your plan of attack, just starting out as a newer guy in Hotshot?
Man, if you're in your first week and it's not working, first thing I need to know is how many of these do I have invested? How many of these do I have in the game? If I have enough that I'm going and throwing it in the dumpster, okay, I know where that is. But if I have more than that, there's no choice. Something's going to give. I'm one of those people, man, I will call anybody. I don't care if it's the president. I don't care if it's a governor. I don't care who I got to call. I'm going to call somebody. I'm going to get somebody on the daggum phone, and I'm going to figure out what I need to get going. If I'm trying to do everything on my own and it's not working, you got to give it some time. But at the same time, you also need to be ready to transition. That pivot foot has to always be ready to pivot. And okay, this isn't working. Plan B. I tell everybody it's a PACE plan, PACE, and it's primary, alternate, contingent, and emergency. You always plan them out. And if the first one doesn't work, I got the second. Second plan didn't work, I got the third. Third plan didn't work, I got the fourth. And after that, I'm shooting from the hip, But if things weren't going well the first week or so, you can only burn so much of this before it's no longer a viable option. And I would tell people that are getting involved, spend as little of this as humanly possible, so that if you do have to hit the eject button and bail out of it, you're not killing your entire life savings over it. And then the other thing is, how passionate are you? Why? You need to take a day to yourself and just ask, why? Why did I start this? Why did I get into this? Why did I make that decision to do this? And I think some people just need a little bit of motivation Monday. You know what I mean? I think they need to just sit back in the mirror. Hey, dude, because the only one that stops you in this industry is the man in the mirror or the woman in the mirror. The only one that's going to slow you down is your own work ethic and yourself every morning. You get up, put your shoes on, look in the mirror. If that guy looks sad and pathetic, get it fixed. You know what I mean? If the woman is looking sad and pathetic and woe is me, fix it, and then get out there and get it. And just you can't give up on it, but things are going to get rough, man. There's times where things are going to go bad. When I went down after 6 months, for 6 more months, just trying to figure out what I was doing. I mean, I got a wife, I got 3 kids, I got a house, I got things to pay for, I got things to do. And I'm like, look, transition, money. Let's worry about money. I'll worry about the business thing I got going on here in a minute. Let me get this stack going again. And once I get this stack up big enough, then let me transition back to this. But it's that constant thinking process. If you're down, why?
Mm-hmm.
If you're having a hard time, why? Are you having a hard time finding loads? Then you need a dispatcher. Are you having hard time managing your time? Then you need to buy a watch. If you're having a hard time, managing your money, then you need an accountant. There's always something that can help you, but just sitting there and pouting, and just giving up on an idea that you had at one point in time was a fireball idea. That's not an option. You started this, finish it, see it through. And if it blows up, sweet, but pour kerosene on yourself and ride that sucker and make it as big of a ball of fire as you can get it. And at least go out with a bang, dude. I mean, I don't ever want to, it's that old saying of like living on your feet or, rather than dying on your knees.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to keep fighting forward, no matter if it takes me 6 months and I'm back into it, that I'm down. But every time you fail at something, you're learning. So if I fail at one part, I failed for 6 months, guaranteed I failed. And I had a bunch of experience and I failed. And I thought about it, and I said, no, not done. Wait a minute. I'm going to come back. I'm going to attack this thing again, and I'm going to make it work. And then now, 6 months later after that, it's transitioned completely opposite. Now I'm at this side of the pendulum. Now we're hiring people. Now we're going, and it's like now we have traction. So I would just say if you're in it and you're having a hard time, you need to reach out to people. Get as much information as you can, watch as many of these videos as you can, talk to anybody you can, research as much as you can. And then if it takes 2 more of these to make things work by hiring somebody else to help you out, pay for it, and move on. But just sitting there and spinning your wheels for no reason, that's not going to be beneficial. It's not going to help you. So,
no, for sure. No, I completely agree with that. I think, especially when we started out, I mean, a lot of you guys in the chat are probably looking to get into Hotshot. Maybe some of you actually have a truck going or whatever. You're going to see, guys, kind of how we have it all set up is, I have my friend who's mostly an investor. He does our QuickBooks stuff, right? He put a lot of money into the business. He basically said, Jason, I need you to figure it out for me. I need us to go, right? So a lot of the stress falls on me, right? If I'm on the truckstop.com and I do not see a load that's paying us, I'm literally stressing out. I'm like, I don't know, man. This week's low. We need to hit these numbers, because we got to pay the bills. I don't want to put my friend more in debt, because obviously we have fallback plans. We have something there. We have credit cards that can be used. You know what I'm saying? And it's that's there and that needs to be there. But I don't ever want to dip into that, And I think you guys are going to feel a good amount of stress because there is a good amount of overhead, and I want you guys to know that. Hotshot, I made a video about 3 reasons to get into Hotshot. And the cool thing about Hotshot trucking and just trucking in general is with the load boards, you're going to have customers, You're going to have people that are going to want to use you. Those are people soliciting for trucks. You know what I'm saying? If you have some sort of other business, let's say you have a t-shirt company, you have to go find your customers. You have to market yourself. You might have 3 months when you're in the hole, and people prepare for that. But with Hotshot, you can definitely cash flow at the beginning, but don't expect to just pull hardcore profits off the top. Like that is unrealistic and it's not going to happen. Like obviously you see a lot of guys on YouTube posting videos like my biggest week, $8,500 a week or $7,000 a week or $9,000 a week. But you guys need to realize you're going to have $3,000 weeks, $3,500 weeks, $4,000 weeks, and you got to build off of that. So a big thing that I've used Haulin Cash has really helped me as a newer guy in the hotshot business is to just set small goals. It's like I want to gross $4,000 this week. Is it where I want to be at the end of in a year? No, not even close. But it's where I'm at right now, and that's what the number I need to hit, and that's helped me out a lot. Being not
I think
everything.
You got to look at month by month, right? So like, business is a long-term game. It's not 6 months. I don't plan to come in here and be a millionaire in 6 months. I don't plan to come in here and make $200,000 in 6 months. I know that I need to hit steady targets along the way. Military reference to that is all phase, right? I refer to everything as a phase line. At this level, at this junction, I do this. And at this level, in this junction, I do that. But, you got to start small, man. And the biggest thing I preach on my channel, and I swear I tell everybody, is crunching numbers. Dude, your household budget at home, these folks that are watching right now, if your household budget is ridiculous and you don't even know exactly to the penny what you need, this business is not for you. You have got to do your math. If you're living on a yak and Ferrari budget, and living that lifestyle, but you're only bringing in Coors Light money, all right, you're going to need to reevaluate. If you like Versace on your backside every day, this business isn't going to provide you Versace money tomorrow. It's not. So, but you have to have a phase line, right? You can get to that point, but it takes time. And it's a lot of learning, man. You're going to pay with the sweat of your brow to learn this. And you're learning it yourself, sitting behind that chair, and you're sweating all day long. Bullets trying to find loads and make sure this one's right and make sure nothing went wrong. And, you pay with that stress, but you learn to manage that stress. And it learns to be something that, for me, I don't really get good and focused until I have stress. Mm-hmm. Until there is stress on me, then I'm like, whoa, and I'm like zipped up, ready to go. I'm after it. But if there's no stress, I'm like, God dang, this is the boringest industry I could ever be in my life. Yeah. And when it's boring, I'm making money, but I'm like, God, it's boring when you're making money. It really is. If you're making money, for anybody you watch, if they're making money with a bunch of things going wrong, that's not correct. When things are going wrong, you're going to be very busy. When things are going right, you're going to be snoozing. Nap City, For sure. But yeah, to your point, you most certainly need a phase line and you need to have goals set and just be comfortable getting somewhere. If you made $2,000 on your own right now, just starting out driving a truck, you just made $2,000 by yourself with nobody giving you a job, and you did it from the sweat of your own brow. You produced $2,000. Nobody else got you. That's good money. Yeah. That's you understanding how to do it. So that's being a success. Even if you wasted $2,000, but you made $1. We got something,
We got it moving here. But, yeah, I think one thing I really want to talk to you about is kind of growing your company and the importance of growth. I think, you see a lot of people are like, I just want to have my one truck, I want to drive it, I want to do this, because they see these numbers out there that sometimes are unrealistic. Sometimes they do happen, obviously, but it's not something you can do every week. But for you, what is like the perfect growth? Like, what is a good growth strategy for somebody just starting out in the business? Is it get a truck every month? Is there wait a couple months, or like where do we need to be like in our mindset? Because I mean, my mindset for my business is kind of we want to grow. You know, I'm ready to grow. Like if we lease on somebody and I meet with this person and I think they're awesome, like let's put them on the business. But obviously, I don't want to overload myself too quick. You know, but for you, Hauling Cash, what is a good like strategy for growth when it comes to hotshot trucking?
Um, you know, I'm ready to take the moon on. You know what I mean? I want the moon yesterday. Um, but at the same time, though, I've got a team in place that can help me accomplish that goal. Um, I put it this way: uh, there's no set number to growth, right? It's whatever this can afford, um, and whatever you can risk with this. So your risk tolerance is extremely high, you can grow. If your risk tolerance is very low, it's like 90% of people you see on the road that are single truck operations, because this is already hard enough for them to get, and they don't have the tolerance to risk everything they've worked for to get more of it. And, and I think it's, business to me is educated gambling. It's a swag, scientific wild ass guess. It's all a guess. But um, I have a good tolerance for this. And so if I have a good tolerance for risk, I have a good possibility to grow. Um, but I would ask anybody this, right? If you don't have a team in place and you think you're just going to grow by yourself, it's not going to happen. It won't. You have to have a team, right? Nobody wins an Oscar. No one wins an Emmy and then gets up there and goes, thank you for my trophy. I did everything. I did all the work. Thank you so much. It's all about me. Bye-bye. No, they get up there and the first thing they do is unfold 2 pages of teams that have helped them to get where they are. And, I'm nothing without my team. I could be myself and that's fine. But, myself is not, I'm the magic to an extent, but I'm not the magic of the day-to-day. There's a lot of magic that happens behind closed doors. Your driver right now on the ground to a lot of people might look like the magic. He's in the truck, but really the magic comes from where you're sitting right now, because you're the facilitator of the thought, of the vision, of the turning of the steps. And so I don't think there's any set growth pattern, but I think you really have to understand what your tolerance is for this. If you're not willing to risk it, then it's probably not a vision that you want to grow into yet. Um, and if you don't have a team you trust, it's probably not that point yet. Um, but take on one, take on two, see how they work. Balance your books a little bit, put an owner operator in there, and then put a company guy in. Start with, if you have low tolerance for this, start with a guy who's got his own equipment, not a guy where you have to buy equipment. Start with somebody that has equipment. That way, if something does go wrong, you just tell them no more. You're gone.
Adios.
And all of that equipment went with them as well. But at the end of the day, I'm never at the point where I'm too righteous to pack up my Fritos, go jump in my truck, and go get to work. Like if all of it comes crashing down tomorrow, I'll go back to a one-man band and rock and roll, buddy. Food on my table will be put on my table. There's no options there. But when it comes to growth, I had to have the team first. Not even necessarily the money. I had to have the tolerances to risk it, and then I had to have a team. And then once I had those things, I had an ability, like with my YouTube, and you'll have it with yours, where I could speak to a lot of people and let them know, hey, man, we're hiring. And we got inundated. And I found really select people that when I talked to them on the phone, I was comfortable. They were good and comfortable. I looked at the record. They made me feel comfortable. All of that gave me a real good warm and fuzzy, okay, I'm going to risk that on that person now. I'm going to put that on that person now. But if I didn't have that tolerance, I'll put it this way. Here's the best definition, or the best way to figure out if you're ready to grow. hand the keys off to a brand new truck, brand new trailer, a fuel card, a company credit card, the whole nine, the whole kit and caboodle, you're everything for your business. Hand them that one key, the keys to that one truck. And if they take the truck and you're okay with it and you don't lose an ounce of sleep while they're out working, you're ready to grow. If you're up at night, throwing up in your toilet, or you're up like, oh geez, and you're checking the computer to see where the guy is,
You're on the Keep Trucking app, like, where's he at?
like, oh God, 68. Why is he doing 68? It's raining. Don't do 68. Like,
It's so true, guys. You guys don't even know. It's so true. It is so true.
yeah, because I mean, you're over here with like, there's no hands on my steering wheel. I'm like, Jesus, just get there. And if you're like that, not meant for you. Not meant for you to grow yet. That would be where I would judge it.
No, for sure. That's super awesome, and I definitely understand that 100%. And one thing I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit too is I've been crunching the numbers. Obviously, I've talked to some other guys about it. Is what you're doing when you're hiring on owner operators, guys who have their own equipment, right? Like a lot of people are just it's kind of hard to realize what rate you should charge when you're in Hotshot, because it is a lot of risk for a little reward, because basically, let's say a guy grosses $16,000 and you're taking 25%, but you're going to pay half of his insurance. Insurance is expensive, right? So that guy, it could cost $1,500 to insure that guy. You take $750, then you're covering factoring, you're covering dispatch, right? And a dispatch service can cost you $1,600 a month, if you're actually paying somebody. And
right.
It's like at the end of the day, you might only clear $1,000 off that owner operator, and he is representing your business everywhere he goes. So if he gets in any accident at all, it falls on your business. If he reacts poorly to any shippers or anything, and they say screw this business, I'm never using them again, like that's your business, it's not his. So how do you kind of leverage that, or how do you work with your owner operators to, obviously help them out as much as possible, but also make as much profit as you possibly can?
I'm fair, but I base everything on your experience, right? If you're inexperienced, to me, you're a higher risk automatically out the gate. If you're experienced, and I know you've been trucking, and you can actually prove this. This is not something you just tell me on the telephone and then all of a sudden I give you a rate because you sound magical. I got to prove it through your record. But if you've been trucking, then I'm okay with taking less to keep on good quality people, because at the end of the day, staff is everything. Your team is everything. And if I have an owner operator who's in there, I might not make a bunch of money off that one truck, but a bunch of guys like him will make me a bunch of money for a long time, because they're going to be consistent working, consistent to the core. They know what they're doing. They've got a good head on their shoulders and good ability. Man, it may not be a bazillion dollars, but it will be consistent. I would much rather make less money on an experienced guy over a long time than I would to make a bunch of money on an inexperienced guy for 10 minutes. Because in that 10 minutes, that guy could cost me everything. So for me, it's experience. But you make more money profit-wise off a company truck as a business. You will, because they get paid less, and that's just how it is. They didn't bring the equipment to the equation. But you have to balance those people with owner operators, because if the company truck goes down and the company truck makes all the money and you don't have any owner operators, well, who's gonna offset your costs? And at the end of the day, man, owner operators are very, very good to have, because they will come in with their equipment, and a lot of them, if you package your job as leasing somebody on, and you package it as a partnership, which is what it really should be. You're not there to work for me, and I'm not there to work for you. We're here to work with each other to better both situations. You can make money on your own, I can make money on my own, but we make more money together. So for me, I judge them by everything to me. If their experience doesn't speak to me, even if they have experience but they have poor judgment, that's a big situation for me. I want to hear about your judgment calls. I want to see how you make decisions, because if you're making them with just, off the cuff decision, yeah, I mean, you got experience, that's great, but you didn't use none of it. And that's not going to work for me either. But yeah, experience to me weighs everything.
No, for sure, 100%. I think one thing I've tried to do as being newer in Hotshot and everything, and finding select people to like become owner operators, hiring a new company driver as we just did, is, for example, when I hire a company driver, I want him to realize the role he plays in my business. Right? He's not just a driver. He's the guy at the end of the day who's going to make me the money or not make me the money. Right? He controls all of the money that comes into my business. It's not the dispatch. I mean, dispatcher obviously books the loads, right? But if that driver says, I don't want to show up on time, the driver says, I couldn't care less, like it doesn't really matter to me. Like at the end of the day, we're going to be losing a lot of money. So when I hire a driver, and I have a really awesome guy coming on, like you said, I felt super good talking to him on the phone. I want to see what his motives are. What does he want to do? What are his goals? His goal should not be to be my company driver for 10 years. Like that should not be his goal. And his goal, like I'd love for him to be, I want to get my own truck one day. I want to lease on with you guys. I want to help you guys get another truck going. I want to build with the business, because obviously if he has that mindset of this is a partnership up front, he's going to do a lot better work just driving my company truck because he can see the future. He sees the end goal. And the same with the owner operators, right? If they think, I'm just throwing your numbers on the side of my truck, I just want to make some money, they're going to make a lot of decisions by themselves, and they're not going to care about, what the business thinks. They're not going to care about the numbers on the side. They're going to say, I don't want to pick this load up right now, or I'm going to go off on this person, or I'm going to do this, that, and the other. Because they don't see the vision, right? But if their vision is to help grow the company and maybe get another truck going on the company as a lease on as well, maybe they move to a dispatcher role while they have their trucks going, like that's where I see, the vision just start taking form. And it's not all in my head, it has to be in the heads of the other people that are there. Or I think ultimately you're going to fail. Ultimately you're going to go under for sure.
100% with that.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to go off of this a little bit. I kind of want to talk about non-CDL Hotshot, because HAULIN CASH he's a man when it comes to non-CDL Hotshot. If you guys have watched any of HAULIN CASH's videos, they usually have a good segment about non-CDL Hotshot. So, HAULIN CASH, if you could give us a quick, let's say, 3-minute rundown of what you think about non-CDL Hotshot and what you think. Let me try to get this a good question here. What you think about non-CDL Hotshot and what you think owner-operators who are non-CDL Hotshot should what their vision should be. That's a good question. That's what I want to ask.
Get a CDL.
Get a CDL. There we go. Take 2 minutes, 50 seconds more.
Yeah, right. I mean, non-CDL guys they're sharp. They found a loophole, but at the end of the day, hold on just a minute. I gotta kiss the baby here. I love you. Good night, buddy. See you in the morning. Non-CDL guys have found a loophole, right? But the attitude that you're going to be in it for long term with the non-CDL world. I mean, I explain it this way: you're hauling commercial goods, you need a commercial license. In my book, if you want longevity, hold on one more, kid. I love you. I think I got one more coming. But if you're in that situation where you're in this business for the long run, non-CDL is not the way to go. I don't see any point in taking an already niche market and making more of a restriction out of it. If the bullseye is already this small, why be that small? There's no point to that, to me. An argument, and this is where the trouble is going to come, is people get into it too quickly, and it's the easier way to do it. Easier is not always better. And where the competition comes in, they're not taking food off my plate, because when non-CDL guys come in the game and they're sewing up the market pretty quick, they're going to starve each other out. I'm just going to take more weight. simple as that. Non-CDL wants to fight a non-CDL over that 8,000 pound load and have a good time. I'm going to go take that 12,000 pound load and not worry about none of you. And so for me, long term, non-CDL has no sense in the business. There's no need, and there is absolutely nobody holding you responsible on your off time. When you have a CDL holder, they have a CDL, they're constantly thinking about longevity and preservation of a CDL, preservation of the CDL. They're covering their butt all the time to make sure that CDL is in their hand. Non-CDL, if they come in real quick because they thought this was a pandemic that they could we're going to springboard into my own thing now. They're going to take your business, not mine. And that big loophole, when they're out here fighting in this little tiny arena, I'm just going to be out here on the outside watching. And I'm going to take all the freight that they're not taking. And as soon as that 8,000 pound loads are down to 6 cents, I'll still be over at $2. Mm-hmm. And so I just don't see the point long term. I think short term getting into it, it's an easy option. But I think with derating trailers, I don't think it's right. I think, I don't believe if you have to do something, go out of your way to try to get in a business and modify things to make a business. The problem is this: you're going to get a rectal exam every single time you cross the scale. When I come across the scale and I've got an IFTA and I've got apportion plates and I got a CDL driver in the truck, I'm automatically, the only reason they look at me is because non-CDL came in or another hotshot came in, maybe that even had a CDL but screwed up the pooch. And so now I'm getting looked at. But I think long term, these guys that are jumping in like hotcakes right now are causing issues and damaging equipment and damaging loads and freight, and in droves doing it. And insurance is in the business of making money and not actually spending any of it. They make millions and millions by you paying every month and never having an accident. They know you're going to, but you don't normally. And if they realize that every time they have to pay out of their profit on a claim, and it's because somebody didn't have a CDL license, they're going to get really, really tolerant to an extent. And then they're going to go, okay, this is taking away from profit for no other reason. We have enough CDL people. We could just insure them. We don't have to take this profit loss. So I just think, honestly, to me, long term, people need to get a CDL. Long term, you want to be in this business, you want to fall back. Something goes wrong with what you're doing for a business. You have a CDL, I can always get in a truck. I can make a phone call and be in a truck. But I think, that little market that they're fighting in, and the market's not only that big, guys, it's not any bigger. It's a tiny little niche market. And non-CDL is like that small in that market. I don't want to be in that little tiny hole. I don't want to be restricted. I want to be out here with all the ideas of taking whatever I want. And so I think that they're just going to fight each other, and they're fighting each other every day right now. That's why that little partials, that LTL stuff, that's why it's so cheap, because there's so many fighting over it, willing to take it for 50 cents a mile that, I'm not looking for that. How many of them can take 16,000 pounds? None of them. Great. We're going to take 16,000 and book it for $235 a mile, and we're going to go get it. And while they're over there fighting for 50 cents, I don't want to be a part of that. It got brought up to me by one non-CDL guy that's, well known, and they brought the non-CDL, and he said,
Who could that be? Who could that be, right? Who could that be?
They brought up and said, well, I make the same money. And I said, you might make the same money, but I work less than you. Mm-hmm. You make the same money as me. I worked less to get the same money as you. I guarantee I didn't starve nearly as hard as you did trying to find that 10,000 pound load. I was looking and I didn't care. I just picked what I saw was paying well. You had to fight to find that load, and somebody else was fighting you over the rate once you did get the load. And I would beg this question, and this is what I say to everybody. If non-CDL was that hot of a commodity, why are they hiring CDL drivers? If they're non-CDL guys, they should hire non-CDL if that's the dream team, but they hire CDL drivers because instantly the insurance just went. As soon as they hired a CDL guy, insurance just dropped. As soon as they hired the non-CDL guy, they have all of that experience. It doesn't make sense. If non-CDL was that great of an option, they'd be hiring each other like hotcakes, and they don't. They hire CDLs. So my thoughts on non-CDL is best of luck. I hope the loophole works for you. You better pray that nobody else comes in here and tries to take up the market on a whim, because they've made it now. They've pushed the idea so much that non-CDL is so easy. Okay, well, let them come on in, because as soon as they go on in, they're only going to get to the front door where the non-CDLs live, and I'm on the other neighborhood in the back. I'm going to try to take that stuff over there and just be left alone. So I already have enough hard time as it is being a hotshot. I don't need more hard times. To me, it's a fight at the bottom. You must have bloody knuckles every day trying to punch and kick your way through it. That's hard.
I'm the best dispatcher there is, so it's like, nah, just playing. Oh, just messing around. But yeah, you're gonna have your boy out here grinding for you, But no, so really how we got into non-CDL, and we were gonna go semi-truck. That was our goal. We were going semi-truck. Somebody gave me the idea. I'm like, yeah, my friend who's 23 years old, he had a semi-truck. He had a driver in it. From what I thought, he had his own authority. He was doing everything. But then I realized that he was running under daddy's authority and all that stuff, right? So we started doing everything, right? My co-owner of the business, he started just filing for our authority because we didn't even know what a lease-on was, you know what I'm saying? I'm watching my boy David McGill off YouTube just trying to soak in what IFTA is and IRP, And then we get to the point where we're like, we're going to buy a semi-truck, right? And then we go to the place to buy the semi-truck, and they're like, well, you don't have a CDL. And I'm like, bro, I sell cars, man. We got $20,000 cash and good credit scores that says you're going to sell me the $60,000 truck right here. And they're like, actually, none of that matters if you don't have a CDL. And I was like, what are you talking about? So then we're dead in the water, Danny, for 5 months. We're like, we don't know what we're going to do. We need to save money to be able to buy this truck outright. We were still going to get it done. And then I went to go buy a Dodge Challenger Scat Pack, right? I was like, I worked hard this summer. I'm 23 years old. I want a brand new car. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? And I get approved for it and everything. And then we're talking to the salesman who was one of my friends. And I was like, we're like, yeah, we're trying to do this trucking company. He's like, have you heard about Hotshot? And I'm like, what's Hotshot? So I Google Hotshot. This is July. No, this is probably closer to August, of this year, of 2020, not 2021. And I was like, what's Hotshot? And he's like, well, it's the same as trucking, but it's a diesel truck. And so I watched a Toe Picklet video or somebody, right? And I'm like, hold up, I don't want this car, And then we end up, buying a diesel truck. And so the guy ruined his whole sale for himself by telling us what Hotshot is. But the problem was when we made our business and stuff, this is something you might be able to help me out with, is we've tried to get IRP, but it's super hard for me because I have an Alaskan driver's license because I graduated high school in Alaska and we have a business up there. The co-owner has an Alaskan driver's license. Our business LLC is out of Missouri because that's where my mom's house is, and that's the only house we actually have that's there because we travel a lot, and so I didn't want to put a random house that I won't be at in 6 months. So I ran the LLC out of Missouri. Our truck and trailer are all coming out of Alaska, because we don't pay sales tax. Because there's no sales tax in Alaska. So obviously if I'm buying a truck, I'm going to plate it in Alaska. So then I'm like, okay, yeah, we're going to get IRP. I call Missouri. They're like, well, first off, your truck needs to have a Missouri registration. Why don't you have a Missouri driver's license? Can you prove that your business is even out of Missouri? And I'm like, oh, no, this is not good, because we're all over the place, right? And so then we kind of realized we might have to go the CDL route to get started, or another non-CDL route to get started and to get things moving. But ultimately, our goal is to build CDL setups. Our goal is to put semi-trucks on the road. But, I do think non-CDL is a good way to realize what this business is and what it takes before you have to go down the whole loophole of doing all of the more hardcore logistical things. You kind of bypass a couple of those, realize what the business is, and realize if it's even something that you're going to want to put a ton of time into. So that's kind of how I look at non-CDL.
So this is where I caution people. Non-CDL, CDL's already, Hotshot in general is already logistically challenging.
For sure.
Non-CDL Hotshot is even more logistically challenging. And a lot of people don't touch it because a lot of people don't want to waste their time. Because a dispatch service is going to book out a guy with a CDL or a semi-truck in 2 minutes. If they have to spend 5 minutes dealing with your truck, well, now the rate has to go up because you're a little bit more work. But I will say this, where and this is what I hear all the time, because I got people that call me constantly trying to get some kind of information, and people are having a hard time finding the trailers.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Many starting to have a hard time derating the trailers, and they're starting to get a little pushback on derating trailers. And so, I think honestly, it's deceptively easy. And when I say that to people, I mean that. It's deceptively easy. You might think it's going to be a cakewalk, and it's not a cakewalk. It's how much of a cakewalk is it until, everybody's got, they don't even think that far. It's like they get the LLC filled or the business started. They get the paperwork right. They put a few dollars away. They get all this stuff going. Now I can't find a trailer. Well, yeah, but you just bought a truck. What do you mean you don't have a trailer? Well, oh no, now I got to wait 3 months to get my trailer built. Well, sucks to be you, should have thought about that, should have showed up 5 minutes earlier and ordered. But it's deceptive. So when people go into that, it's like, look, man, all of those P's and Q's have to be checked and handled, and as far as I'm concerned, logistically, Hotshot's challenging. Non-CDL is more logistically challenging. And the problem is people think financially it's easier to get into Hotshot. Financially, it's more expensive to go Class 8 semi. But logistically, Hotshot's terribly hard and semi is terribly easy. There's 25 loads for one Hotshot load.
Yeah.
So now there's 25 loads to one Hotshot load, and out of those one Hotshot loads, as a ratio, there might be 0.1 that's a non-CDL thing, or that even pays well enough to be moved by a non-CDL. And then you're thinking partials, right? As a non-CDL, you're always thinking partialing, partial this, partial that, partial this, partial that. Well, then you have to think on the map. I'm stopping here, and I'm stopping there, and I'm stopping here, and I'm stopping there. And then what's my rate per mile? Do you even know now? You've taken 9 loads. How much money do you have? How much money did you make? What did you even profit? And so I think it's deceptively easy to people. And it really, really gets my goat, because I'm like, dude, quit messing with it. In the time that you jacked with trying to find a trailer, you could have gone down and got a CDL, gone down and just bought any old trailer on the market, bought your truck, done your plan the way you thought you were going to do, and book yourself a load on week 1, day 1, and not have to fight for it. So not nearly as much anyway.
For sure. No, 100%. No, I completely agree with that. And kind of what I was trying to get at is, I didn't really word it too well, but deceptively easy is probably the best way you can word it. That is by far the best way you can word it. Say deceptively easy. Because on the outside you think, oh, I just need an LLC, I just need insurance, put my numbers on the side, get my authority, truck, trailer, I'm good to go, right? But literally, I don't know how many people hit me up in one day, and I'm a small YouTube channel, okay? Everyone's like, where do I get a trailer? What's the best trailer? How much should my trailer weigh? How does this work? But if the trailer's only rated for 12K and it weighs 7,000 pounds, how can I put 10,000 pounds on it? And I'm just like everyone's just battling over these little things. And obviously, I'm trying to explain everything to them, and just over and over and over and over again to so many different people. And, I think really what needs to change in the non-CDL hotshot market, right, is the mindset that we're going to stay non-CDL for anybody, right? It is a loophole. It is a loophole. It gets you away from IRP. It gets you away from IFTA. Gets you away from the Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. But it is a loophole and nothing else. I do not see the market for non-CDL going up, because it's not going to. Okay, if you're gonna be a business owner, and you're gonna build your hotshot business, Like if you just want to run hot shots and that's all you want to do, that's awesome. But you need to have CDL outfits, and you need to find the best equipment that can haul the most weight, and that's what you need to do, right? And I think guys are like, I just want to jump into non-CDL, and it's like, that's awesome, but like you said, all you're doing is restricting yourself. You're literally just cutting the load board into pieces. You're saying, I can't take this, I can't take this, I can't take that. I don't have a winch because a winch weighs too much, it's going to take weight away, right? So I didn't put a winch on my trailer, right? I can't have a second toolbox with literally all the tools I need because it weighs too much. So I can't have an auxiliary tank because it weighs too much. You're literally thinking, because when people say, should I get this, should I get that? I'm like, guys, your battle is with weight. At the end of the day, you're battling weight. That's all you're doing. You're just going to keep cutting.
Well,
and you're like, I can't even haul dunnage on my trailer because the dunnage weighs too much, and it's like people.
well, and it's too, man. I mean, think about it. If you have 7K axles,
Mhm.
okay, I got two 7K axles. So I got 14,000 pounds capability. The trailer weighs how much? Well, then I just put the load on. Well, how much did the axles get to? How much tolerance, how much of the max am I pushing my trailer to every moment of its day?
Yeah.
Whereas if you bought a CDL trailer and you have a CDL, yeah, the capacity might be up to the moon. But if I'm only doing 7,000 pounds in that trailer, I'm not really burning up the capacity of the trailer, and it's not really feeling it. The hubs aren't even getting really all that warm at all. But I promise you, with those non-CDL trailers, there's small axles like that, small tiny hubs, small tiny bearings, small wheels, brakes. Dude, you're trying to move this maximum of the weight of the trailer constantly. And it's like, bro, your pocket will eat that.
Mm-hmm.
Your pocket will at some point eat. And that's why guys have said, like, oh, this trailer's only a year long. It's only good for 2 years. No kidding. You killed it. You beat it to death. Yes, it will die. And your pocket, where that $10,000 profit margin could have been, was in your pocket. Now you just sunk it into another crap trailer, and now you lose it again the next year. And so it's just like, ooh, 10,000 in profit. Dang, I gotta buy a trailer. Like, dang, 10,000 in profit. Dang, I gotta buy another trailer. And I'm like, dude, the trailer I've got right now, unless somebody kills it, right? It just I don't know, fiery death. But it's years and years and years of use, and it's just replacing the small stuff in between it and keeping it rolling.
Mm-hmm.
But years of use. The structure of that thing is built to take whatever it is I put on it, and I don't even max what I can do because I don't want to. So people got to be careful, dude. These people are getting into this are like, I don't know what they're thinking. Like, it scares me because I'm like, dude, I don't want to get the email that you lost your livelihood because you got into it watching 2 YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to get that phone call about you because, to be honest, it took me 3 years, man. 3 years of dabbling back and forth to even make my mind up.
Mm-hmm.
I would never just jump and just be like, well, that'll work. No, man. Like, good luck getting a trailer in 5 years for non-CDL. That's going to be a fight.
For sure.
It'll be tough.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think, like, I want everybody to know that's in the chat right now. The reason we are non-CDL Hotshot is only because I'm having a hard time figuring out my RP. Like, if I could figure out my RP, I would have CDL setups. Like, literally, this guy that we're going to lease on was going to be a CDL setup. But he wants to grow with the company, obviously, right? And so I said, hey, man, I am having the hardest time figuring out my RP right now. Let's start non-CDL. We're going to help you get a trailer, and then we're going to invest in other equipment with you, as long as everything works out, obviously. But yeah, guys, we want to give you that kind of small talk on non-CDL, guys. Obviously, I know a lot of you guys watch my videos are looking into non-CDL. If you go on the Facebook groups for Hotshot, 9 out of 10 questions are non-CDL related questions. And we need to realize, guys, at the end of the day, this is a loophole. It's not going to be there forever. Obviously, you can make good money doing it, and you can build a business around it. But if lawmakers came out with a law tomorrow that said any vehicle over 10,000 pounds is a CDL vehicle, you have to have a CDL to drive it, how many of our businesses would be put out of business, right? Like, how many? You know what I'm saying? So we need to be ready at all costs to be like, I need to make a change. I need to see something change here. Like we need to be ready for that, guys. And that's something that's super important. Awesome. So right now, guys, I want to... Oh, you got something to add, HAULIN CASH?
No, I'm just saying the transition foot,
Yeah.
man. That ability to pivot.
For sure, for sure. So, guys, right now, I want to go into the comments here, into the live chat, and just kind of take some questions. I don't know, Haulin Cash, if you have anything to add right now, something that you wanted to touch on that maybe we didn't get to, or something you want to tell the guys that are in chat.
Biggest thing, man. The one thing I'm noticing more and more, and I'm paying more attention to it every single day now, is how many people don't have apportioned plates. And when I say this, I don't mean that they have apportioned plates. I mean they don't have their own apportioned plates in their name. And dude, I cannot tell you how important that is for you as a business owner to have plates in your business's name. Because when you lease on to somebody and you buy their plate, you have to surrender it back to them after you just paid for it. It's a waste of money. People are real confused by that. If you do not have an authority and you want to get apportioned plates, but you want them to be your apportioned plates, you need non-trucking auto liability or non-trucking liability, and you need physical damage on your truck and your trailer. But that's something personal, okay? You can go get this right now and it'll replace your regular car insurance. Non-trucking liability, physical damage, along with your lease agreement and your business documents, and go get plates in your name. If you're going to pay for them, keep them. And then in this section where you lease on to somebody, in that section of paperwork, it's going to say company responsible for safety. That's where you put the leasing company's name. And then when you de-lease or leave those people, all you have to do is go back in there and say, hey, that part of the application now needs to be my company because I just got my own authority. But get your own plates, man. It's so crazy how many people I've talked to. Like, we've got owner-operators that are coming on right now. Every one of them, I didn't have my own plates. I didn't have my own apportioned plates. I've not met one that's shown up to me yet with apportioned plates of their own. And it's been like, dude,
I didn't even
like,
know.
What in the
So what you're saying is, for example, let's say I can't figure out my apportion plates, right, for my business because I've messed it up, like I'm in it for
Yeah.
I can lease on somebody and just use their apportion plates, right? They just do it themselves, and I can just I don't have to do anything.
all they have to do to lease onto you right now with their own if you want a CDL guy right now and you want to lease him on, you go get an owner operator and you tell them, hey, listen, go get non-trucking liability and physical damage, which they need to have anyway. Here's the lease agreement that we just signed. Go get with your business documents, go file it with your state under your business's name. They're going to file their own IFTA and they're going to file their own, they'll get their own IFTA, they'll file their own mileage report, and they'll file their own fuel report. And if you want to help them by printing off their ELD trip, as they go, which you can print that off, right? The mileage report on your ELD, you can print that off, and then you print off the fuel transactions for them for that quarter and hand it to them. They file their own stuff, and the plates will always be in their own name. And all they have to do is put company responsible for safety is J Love the Flash, or whatever, the company business
Flash
name
Love
is. But they could
Logistics.
lease on to you tomorrow.
Remember the name? No, I'm just playing.
Yeah.
No.
So
I didn't know that.
they
I
could-
did not
yeah,
know
you
that.
could-
I did not know that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Wow. That really changed the game for us 100-fold right there. Because if they can get their own RP,
Yeah.
I ain't even got to mess with the state of Missouri. Like, get off me.
There it is.
That's awesome.
Looks like somebody's in the CDL business just now.
I gotta retract all my videos. They're all getting deleted tomorrow, guys. We're revamping. We are revamping. That's awesome, guys. So yeah, everybody who's here, thank you so much for being here. Go ahead, drop your questions in the chat. We're gonna go about probably another 23 minutes, give or take, just answering some questions from you guys. Strong Hotshot, thank you for being here, my dude. If you guys haven't checked out Strong Hotshot's channel, go check him out. He's super awesome. He gives a lot of information and really motivates people to make more money in this business. At the end of the day, that's what we all need, for sure.
Attaboy, D.
But yeah, guys.
Attaboy, D. Nice.
D nice, the man. But if you guys ask questions like 20 or 30 minutes ago, it's going to be hard for me to scroll and find them. So if you could just re-ask them real quick, that'd be awesome. But Strong Hotshot did ask Haulin Cash, what did you learn from working for Toe Piglet, if anything?
Man, and it's funny because there's a lot of haters everywhere, right? Haters are gonna hate. And to be honest, man, like, people like they don't realize, like, in YouTube, like, we all know each other, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're on a video right now, but you have my phone number and I have
Yeah.
yours. Like, we call each other. Like, this isn't some mysterious wonderland. You know what I mean? Like, I know you and you know me. Alex, man, is a hustling guy, like a hustler, dude. And if you want to see somebody, I'll put it this way: the one thing Alex brings to the table that I definitely don't is energy. Like, when I'm talking about somebody that's just flat out the door at 6 a.m. is running 1,000,000 miles an hour, the wheels are just gone off the truck, spinning so fast. Like, that's him. He's a hustler, man. And when it comes to YouTube, when it comes to technology, when it comes to different procedures and policies, and some things I took from what he was doing, and then later I didn't. I used him for a little bit, and then I didn't really care for it, and I switched off on some things I was doing. But as far as the man's work ethic, right? What he was trying to do, what he's trying to do, work ethic cannot be argued. Like, the man will work. And so, as far as what I've learned, I will say, man, I've learned a lot about going with the flow from him, and I've learned a lot about just trying to keep the energy, because that energy, that positivity, that attitude, dude, it's always going to bring a smile on you. It's, when he's revved up and he's off the wall to me, man. Some days he's so revved up, and but I learned that, like, the man's a hustler, dude. When I thought, hey, this is all I'm going to do today is these 5 different tasks, he had 10 more that he knew we could get it done. And I'm like, dude, like, and then I had to think to myself, is it my attitude, or is it just like laziness, or what am I doing that I'm not keeping up with 97 activities that he just got done today? So yeah, from that part of it, man, the dude is a hustler.
Mhm.
Like, you're not going to meet another guy that wants to hustle as hard as he does. And, so from that, I mean, our work ethic and business wise and trucking, I mean, he has a pretty good handle on that. He knows his stuff he's done it for long enough, and he's taught it for long enough, but, and so have I. But I think, as far as what I've learned, yeah, he's, dude, just hustle,
Sure.
energy beyond. Like, I'm like, I wish I could keep up. I need more coffee.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, I mean, nothing but respect for the guy from me. Like, obviously, he's built something great. If you look at it, you look his YouTube family. Just looking at his YouTube family, not even his hotshot business, and he started from scratch. And I remember, Load Miser made a video about him, and like, I agree with some of the stuff Load Miser said, and I think Load Miser has a whole different view of the situation than what we do as people on the outside. And I remember reading everyone's comments just bashing this guy's business. And I'm like, let me give you guys $200,000 and let me see you build anything close to what he's built. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't just be here bashing the guy's business. He's built something great. Like, he motivated me to get into Hotshot. He was one of the first guys I watched. Obviously, Hauling Cash, I watched you a lot to get more of the actual, like, logistical standpoint of stuff, and like what I really need to do and how to fill out paperwork and stuff. But he is just a great motivational tool that have motivated me to basically just live my dreams. There's a lot of people that watch him who are never going to get into Hotshot, but they get motivated to build their own businesses. And I think at the end of the day, that's why we're here. We're here to help people, become successful in whatever they want to do. Like, I tell people all the time with my channel, I'm more of a business guy than I am a trucker. So if another opportunity comes that's really good, you're going to see some videos on that opportunity, because at the end of the day, I just want everyone to be successful. And yeah, in my book, he's a very successful guy, and he motivates a lot of people to do a lot of great stuff. So I think that's super awesome. But let's go ahead and answer some more of these questions. Throttle Pilot asks, he's a really awesome dude. He asks, what do you think, Cash, of a 1997 Ram 3500 dually V10 gasser as a hotshot truck? It's great, right? Come on.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, what do you want? What do you say to, like, hey, I'm gonna run a 37-foot Winnebago. I'm gonna pull a hotshot trailer behind it. What do you think? Like, I mean, dude, go with the market trend. right? Everybody's running diesel for the longevity of a diesel. Everyone runs diesel for the torque a diesel offers, right? Everybody runs diesels for those reasons. Fuel pumps where you're going to get fuel, run diesel. The people don't understand the logistics of this stuff, right? Like, go pull in a truck stop and you tell me how many trucks you see over there getting gasoline. Go pull in a truck stop and show me how many trucks are actually parking where the cars are parking and getting gasoline with a 40-foot trailer behind them where everybody else is getting gasoline. Nobody. And so it's one of those things, man. I know people are looking at the equipment that they have and trying to find a way to make that work. But if you have to argue that up here, it didn't make any sense to begin with. If you're selling yourself on the idea of that piece of equipment being out here on the road, if you even have to ask if it's going to work, man, it's probably not going to.
Yeah.
And so I just, my thing is, it takes money to make money in this thing. I would say swap it for a diesel and trade up and put yourself in something that's, where you're going to be able to get fuel everywhere you go and be able to park and pull in with all the other trucks and get your fuel quick. Because, you'll realize, how long your fuel guy, takes. Yeah. Takes 30 minutes to get fuel, and that's a high volume fuel pump. So, gasoline, I'd be all month for trying to get 80 gallons of gas. I'd be there forever. Could never get out of there. And then everybody that's parking their car, oh, dude.
Good luck.
Good luck trying to even get a 40-foot trailer up to some of those gas stations trying to get gas. Like, it's crazy a lot of times. But
no.
Oh, Nick asked a pretty good question. We can kind of elaborate on this. And you have a lot of experience with this. He asked, in your opinion, is it better to get into a new Hotshot or spend the money on a used semi?
Oh, semi all day.
Semi all day.
Yeah. Semi all day. If you're talking long term, semis are the way. Because if and especially when you're talking about longevity of equipment, semis are built longevity. I know trucks that have 1 million miles on them and then got rebuilt and have another 1 million on them. And that's 1 million miles. So that's 100,000 miles a year. That's 10 years. And then they rebuilt it and did another 10 years with it. These pickup trucks are getting 2, 3, maybe 4 if you really treat it right. And then you got to, scrap pile, So if I had money was no object and there's a semi sitting over here or a Hotshot sitting over there, I'm gonna put the semi to work, because the semi I can dispatch with my eyes closed and find gold. The semi I know is going to be there year after year after year after year, and I'm not trading out of it for at least 6 or 7 years. These big companies are tossing them to the wayside, dude. The big companies are tossing trucks with 300,000 miles on them, putting them to the wayside, and now third-party sellers selling them for $60,000. Dude, I can run it for another 7 years. I can run it for another 3 years before I'm even rebuilding. So, and that's even if I have to. So it's just, I might make it to 4 before I have to rebuild. So to me, if you have the money, semi. Why not?
For sure.
Don't get yourself in a market where you can just book yourself and not be worried about it.
No,
and be consistent.
if you guys get on the load boards, like, you'll see, like, just imagine, if there's 100 loads for a CDL Hotshot, flatbed, imagine how many, those 100 loads can be moved by a semi truck, right? But imagine all of the other loads that don't fall into your 16,000 pound, 40 foot, search preferences you put on, guys. There are so many loads out there, and I think, guys, anybody who's in the Hotshot game, especially if you're looking to build a business, because in my mind, I'm young, I'm 23 years old, so I got a lot of years to live and a lot of years in business, and it's like, we have the opportunity to build an empire. That is where my mindset's at. My mindset is not to do non-CDL Hotshot forever to prove a point, or to do CDL Hotshot, to prove a point, to myself or anything. It's to just go where the money is, run with the flow, and realize everything I can do with my authority, right? I don't think a lot of people realize dump trucks. Like, I look at dump trucks a lot. Where I'm from in Missouri, I know a lot of guys that own a couple dump trucks that do routes back and forth, and they gross pretty good daily. It's like, I got the authority, let's run some dump trucks, let's run X, let's run Y. Like, I got a friend who wants to start up his own towing business, let me get on that, bro. Like, what can we do for you, you know? And I think
Oh,
we close our eyesight a lot. We close our minds, and it's like we have authority from the government to commercially do a lot of things, not just hotshot, not just flatbed freight. You know, there's so many more things we can do, and as long as we keep our mind open and think that could be a quality opportunity, this could be a quality opportunity, I think we'll see a lot of success with that. So that's something that's super important.
think about that. In LA, we looked in LA the other day, just for giggles. There was over 300 van loads in LA. Over 300 just in van, not even flatbed. You know, and it's like, and then, you know, not even step deck, not even RGN, not even, you know, double drop, not even, you know, we weren't even there. We were just looking at the van section, not even the reefer section. And there's 300 plus loads in LA for van, you know, coming on a semi. And it's like, bro, how many loads do you think they have for Hotshot? Out of all of those moving, I guarantee for Hotshot, there might be 40 or 50.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe. Out of 40 or 50 that's going to pay you, man, there might be 20.
Mm-hmm.
And out of the 20 that you're going to fight for, there might be 10 that pass credit.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time you get it nickeled down, dude, like, you're scrapping, dude. I mean, you've got bloody knuckles every day. So do we. We're in there like, you know, if you want some, man, we're gonna take you out. We're gonna go get this load. So yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, there's so much opportunity with this authority and with this business, and that's why I tell people I love trucking. It's not just hotshot, dude. I love trucking, and trucking is where it's at, dude. This industry is where it's at. How you get your game going in this industry doesn't matter to me, dude. I mean, you can do it with a bright pink Hot Wheels truck. I don't care, as long as it turns some money. You know?
No, exactly. And I think, yeah, as long as we keep our eyes open with that, and that's what I kind of try and push a little bit more on my YouTube channel. Obviously, I make a lot of videos about getting started in hotshot, non-CDL, because I mean that's what we do right now. But when you have your own authority, guys, like, you have the opportunity to build an empire. You know, if that's what you're wanting to do, if you're wanting to build an empire, if you want to build something tangible that you did yourself, go out and get your own authority. You know, look into every aspect of what you can do. I know construction companies that pay good money, you know, to have people haul stuff for them just in town. You know, because they don't have the ability to, because it weighs too much and they don't have their own authority, right? Like, they need trucks to be able to do that, you know. And a lot of people don't look into those little things, you know. And I think, I mean, I like looking at this bigger picture, and obviously as future goes, you know, with how the market is with hotshot and how the government is right now, we need to keep our eyes open, and we need to be looking for what's next, because this obviously is going good. You know, we make a lot of money with it, but stuff changes every day, especially in these times. So we need to be able to do that. But yeah, guys, let me just go ahead. We'll probably answer one more question here. Probably call it after that. We've had a really awesome conversation. Thank you so much for your time, Haulin Cash.
No, my pleasure.
Strong Hotshot said, my 14-year-old daughter can book semi-truck loads. Does your 14-year-old daughter need a job? No, just playing.
Well, no, but that's, you know, don't let him lie to you though. That's D Nice's Ken, and D Nice doesn't.
He don't mess around.
Totally different breed.
He's a whole different type of guy.
Yeah, his whole family would tear me apart, man. He's crazy, you know. All of them over there, money making beans.
They don't mess around, man. I love D Nice's videos because they always motivate me to try to get more money out of them brokers. You know what I'm saying? Gotta make that cheese.
Dude, he'll be like this. Every one of D Nice's videos is always like $97 million on one load. Boom. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? Like, how did I even miss that? How did I not get 97 million on that load? Yeah, he's
I'm
good,
over here
man.
just trying to slave to get my $1.30 a mile and just trying to make enough to pay my insurance, okay? I don't even want to make a profit. Profits are not needed.
7 million, 2 loads, new guy, new hire, boom. And I'm like, damn.
I bought the dude another trailer just because the money was there. He doesn't even use it. You know what I'm saying? That's awesome. Hey, Dean.
$1 million bonus.
Yeah. Hey, D Nice. I'd love to have you on next week, my bro. We need to talk, so I'd love to get you on next week and talk to you as well. But Haulin Cash, I think we're just going to call it, my dude. Thank you so much for being on.
It was a pleasure to have you in and kind of talk just business in general. Guys, if you're not subscribed to Haulin Cash's channel, go subscribe, man. He is the best when it comes to just laying the law and really telling you how it is and like really helping you understand federal regulations, which a lot of us are not good at. He is great at them, and he'll definitely help you be successful in this business. But yeah, guys, thank you.
All my people, all my people, if you came from my channel to this channel to watch, this is the only place you're going to see this kind of information. J Love is the only one that's ever reached out to me to do this kind of live. So you guys make sure you're liking, commenting, and subscribing on his stuff. It's been a super big pleasure for me, and I think it's really cool when he's getting after every YouTuber out there doing the industry and the game, and he's putting them right on here so that you guys can see this. This is the only channel you're going to see this. Okay, y'all do that.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Guys, thank you for being here, and I hope you guys have a great night.